Today on Community Producers, I'm joined by Shalice and a special guest.
Hi, this is JJ, and she is an 8-year-old Border Collie mix, and she's just going to help me demo some clicker training. So clicker training is a way of training that uses a simple sound, which is a click, and this indicates to the dog that they're doing the correct behavior. This is used in lots of training, just to show it's a little bit better than using verbal commands when you're just starting to train, because everybody's voice is a little bit different. So if there's multiple people training in the home, the click gives a very consistent sound. You don't use the clicker forever. You kind of wean it out as you train. But to begin with, you want to just start training your dog to learn what the sound of the clicker is. Jay here is clicker trained, but she will demonstrate through all the steps with us today. So the first step for clicker training is just getting your dog to know what this click means, because at first, it's going to be meaningless. So you start by doing this by just clicking and giving a treat every time. And you just want to kind of get their attention. And every time they hear the click, they can get a treat. So she has done a lot of clicker training, so she's already giving me the most default position, which is sitting. So if you're teaching a sit, if they won't go into that sit, you can always take a treat and you just lure their head back until their butt touches the ground. And then as soon as they're in that position, you click and give a treat. We always toss our treats so that they have to break that position so they don't just stay there. And then she'll come back, hey, get her attention, click and treat. You would run through this in several steps at home. You'd want to be doing these in sessions of about 10 minutes and keep doing it every time they pay attention. You give them the click and the treat. Once they are doing this successfully, about 99% of the time, you can start by adding the command to it. So as soon as the butt touches, sit, click and treat. Sit, click and treat. Sit, click and treat. Once they are doing the behavior consistently and they are getting the understanding of sit, click and treat, you can start slowly by fading away your clicker. So then you would just say sit, and then they just get the treat. And this is by showing that you're changing the click over to the sit, and they treat. And once you have that consistently, you can change over to sit, good dog, and that satisfies the behavior. And that is about the steps that we go through for clicker training. All of these steps, of course, should be done slowly. You can use this for any behavior. You can, if they don't readily do the behavior you want, you can always lure. Like if I wanted her to lay down, I could go like this, show her the treat, pull it to the ground, and click and treat once she's laying. Usually simple behaviors such as sit and lay down, because they come more naturally to dogs, can be trained within a week if you're doing training every day. I always recommend doing short, more frequent training sessions than long sessions, because when you do long sessions, the dogs can lose focus, and sometimes you can become frustrated if they're not performing as fast as you would like them to be. So if at any time you are frustrated or you notice that the dog is becoming frustrated, signs that the dog's frustrated is consistent lip licking. Sometimes that can just be because they want the treat, but sometimes lip licking can be a sign of stress, yawning, or if they just keep head shaking or full body shaking. Sometimes that can just show that they're uncomfortable and they're not sure what's going on. And if at any time you're training a more complex behavior like roll over, and you start with them laying on their side, you do that consistently and then you show them laying on their back and moving over. If they're not doing those in the steps that you're hoping, you can always take a step back in training and make sure they get the first step more thoroughly. Because we never want to end training on a bad note. We always want it to be happy and the dog to have done a successful behavior before we end training. But if anybody's becoming frustrated, it's good to go back a step, do a successful behavior, and then end the training session. And start there again the next day. And that's pretty much the gist of clicker training.
Thank you for joining us today on Community Producers, Shalice. I know I learned a lot. So you do offer training as well as a business. How can people get a hold of you?
People can always get a hold of me through Rivers Animal Hospital. I do have an email as well, which is fsj.k9, which is the letter K and the number 9, behavior@gmail.com, or you can just call Rivers Animal Hospital and ask for me, and you can get all my info that way.
Thank you so much. And
thank you,
JJ, for being good today.